Okay, guys, so we went out testing with the new shocks. Lo and behold, I make a little burnout. Then I go to make a pass, get on the trans brake, and the car begins to misfire with some weird random misfire that I know nothing about. So lo and behold, I bring it back home and we have issues, and boy, do we have issues. First, it started with just as soon as we took it out for a ride, the gauges began to flicker. And I didn't know what was going on. So we finally reached the destination as to where we were going to do this burnout at. And the gauges began to flicker even more. I was getting error codes on the little LCD screen. It's a Holley Terminator X. So I didn't know what to do. All of a sudden, I get it up on the trans brake and I take off, and the car just stalled and was acting all funny and weird. And when I cut it off and tried to cut it back on, didn't fire back up. So we eventually had to tow it home. And then once home, I began to try to diagnose and see what was going on. It's a Terminator X system. And as I came home, once the car was in the garage, I began to just, look around, look in the engine bay. I began to look at the LCD screen to see what was going on, and nothing. I was getting an issue with the TPS sensor. Was not reading correctly. Neither was the temperature sensor, neither was the oil pressure sensor. So all these sensors, that are all together 5-volt were not working properly. So immediately, I said, well, it has to be a ground issue. So we checked all the grounds, everything checked out fine. And, the car would not start. I was not able to reset the TPS sensor, to get it to calibrate. It wasn't doing the auto set. So I knew that, maybe the ECU, something had gone wrong with it. I mean, that's the only thing that I could think about. So I got on the phone with Holley. I was on the phone with Holley for, I want to say, over an hour, and we went sensor by sensor, just testing it, diagnosing. They made me go and change the tune back to the, just whatever comes stock from the factory on this Terminator X. I did that. I resetted the computer. I resetted I disconnected the battery, put the battery back on. I did all these things to no avail. Finally, the tech at Holley said, well, the only thing you could do is send the ECU back. There's probably a problem with the ECU. So I was like, okay, how long will that take? And the first thing that he told me, he said it's going to be probably within 4 to 6 weeks before we could check it out and actually send it back to you. So I was depressed. I was saddened by the whole situation. Here I am putting this truck together, trying to cross every T and dot every I, and I'm still having problems with it. It's still fighting me. I can't, get it to work properly or stay put together. So there's always something. I mean, I fix something else pops back up. So during this whole dilemma that I'm facing, I am completely stressed out, just thinking how much more will I not be able to use the truck? And now here I go. I got to pull out the dashboard. I got to disconnect the ECU and then send it back to Holley and be at their mercy until they decide to give me a diagnosis on it, whether it's going to be good or bad. So during this whole moment, as I'm being faced with this, a buddy of mine gives me a call. His name is Tom, and we were talking about it. And he said, well, go back to the sensors and, check to make sure with a voltmeter to see if they're working properly. And lo and behold, I did the same thing I did with the Holley tech. But, this time I went a little further. And as I'm looking towards the back of the engine, I said, well, the only thing I haven't really disconnected has been the cam sensor that's in the back. So when I go to disconnect this cam sensor, I noticed the problem, guys. To my amazement was the fact that a couple weeks ago, Sleepy Joe had an issue with the transmission where the tail broke. So I took that transmission off and had the transmission sent out to get repaired, to get a new tail housing on it. I did that. And lo and behold, when I got the transmission back, I did the install by myself. And it wasn't the easiest thing to do. So as I'm doing this install, what I didn't notice was that the harness had hung down below the bell housing, and once I, tightened down the bell housing to the block, the harness got crushed. And this is what it looks like. So guys, there it is. That is what happened to Sleepy Joe. Basically, like, good news, bad news. I'm happy that I don't have to send out the ECU, and thank God, because if I would have sent out that ECU and later on found this problem, I would have been stuck. Now moving forward, we have actually fixed the harness. We probed every single connection that was bad. We did a continuity test on it. and everything checked out fine. We were able to solder some of the cables that were damaged and exposed, heat shrink others, so we put the harness back together. Here's a picture of it. And guys, yeah, we are gonna move forward with Sleepy Joe. On the next video, I will be installing this harness back up together and showing you guys how I do that. But I thank you guys for watching. I thank you for the support you are giving us. I thank you for everything that you guys are doing for the channel, man. You guys are the true heroes, and we're just all here along for the ride. So always remember, guys, to love God, love family, and always love racing. See you guys on the next one.